Hey everyone, and welcome to Therapy Near Me. We are your hosts, Melissa Griffing and Rachel Iniarity. Each episode, we introduce you to amazing therapists that do amazing, important work in our community. We hope this helps you find the right fit and makes the search for good therapy a little less overwhelming. Okay, tell us what you do. Tell us about your specialties.
Um, so, um, I work with couples, and I don't know what's terribly unique about that, except that a lot of the people that I talk to that don't work with couples really don't work with couples, and I happen to really like it. And in fact, I was at a networking event this past Friday, and somebody asked me, um, "How did you get into doing couples work?" And I was like, "Oh, that just was the class that was easy." it just, that's the truth. Like for me, it was easy because it wasn't, it made intuitive sense to me. And so I didn't have to study and I got really excited about it. It just had the most dopamine. And so I just kept going back and I kept learning more and I kept getting more excited. And then that turned into a hyperfixation for over a decade now. Here we are.
Okay, but that's really interesting because for me, the classes that were easy were like play therapy classes. I was like, this makes sense. This is intuitive. I don't
Yeah,
have to study for it. But then like a couples class, that didn't feel easy.
right. But there are other classes I was interested in that definitely weren't easy, like psychopharmacology, super
Oh,
fascinating. Do not want to take the class and pay to fail that. I just want to learn more because that
yeah.
would not be easy. That would be hard for me. Um, but yeah, that I think that's what hit the sweet spot for me is, oh, this makes intuitive sense. And it's validating to hear that that was the same for you too. Like, oh, this clicks for me.
Yeah, it's nice when it just like clicks. Like it's like, oh,
Hmm.
okay. And that you like to do it. I think that's important in this field. It's like you have to like
Oh yeah.
really like to do it.
Yeah. Why? There's so many other things you could do. If you don't like doing this, you could be poor somewhere else. You could make more money doing something else. So please don't do this if you don't want to, right?
I have a feeling this podcast is going to go from introducing people to a lot of great therapists to let's look behind the curtain and,
A little bit, yeah.
and, and talk about how poor we are.
I mean, and that I don't like that mindset, but also like this is not the job you enter because it's lucrative. Like you need to really love it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would imagine it's like trying to run any business.
Hmm.
Um, it's the thing with our profession is that like you can work for an agency and get insurance and like all of
Yeah.
that, but there's a trade-off there.
Hmm.
Um, or you can work for private practice, but most private practices don't offer insurance or benefits and things
Yeah.
like that. And so most of us are like kind of contractors, or the point being is like we're more like a hairdresser, right? Like we only get paid when we see people.
Yep. Isn't that wild to be
Yeah.
outside of grad school, have a professional license, have no benefits, often work nights, and get paid by the hour? You're like, this, I have arrived.
I'm here.
Yep. But then, I mean, just another peek behind the curtain, and I think if other therapists are listening, they'll relate to this too. There are people who hate their job that don't hate this field, and they hate their job because it's like taking advantage of them, or they can't make a living, or like they're being put in sometimes unethical dilemmas, like or ethical dilemmas where they have to do things they don't feel good about, especially
Hmm.
when you hear about some agency work and nonprofits. Like that's not always the case, but I do want to acknowledge that sometimes people don't hate the job so much as they hate the particular job they're at, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I think I stay in this field because I do like it, even though
Yeah.
there are parts of it that are like really hard and unpredictable. Like
Mm,
right now is the week before Christmas, and the next
yeah.
couple of weeks are like I'm not making any money next
Yeah.
week.
Dead.
It's just dead.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, once we've been in it, I think as long as we have and longer, you start to like ride the waves. And
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you, but I do think you and I are both pretty fortunate that maybe it's just because we own our own practice,
Yeah.
and we're in private practice, we are geographically where we are. It's not a bad field. I really love my job.
Oh yeah,
So,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Tell us what you love most about your job.
I think what any therapist would recognize is that kind of counseling high you get when somebody really starts, things start to click for them, and you start to see like them heal in real time. Like you could be doing months of therapy, and then one time you'll be in a session and there you can see the tear coming and something start to shift in their mind and their heart, and you're like, okay, this is
Yeah,
worth it. This is the best day ever.
that
That
light
I
bulb
think,
moment.
yeah, that overall is the thing. That's the dopamine for me. But um, I was thinking about this the other day. Somebody asked, another podcast person asked, like, well, what is it that you love doing in particular in couples? And I think I've got my ideal client, but generally speaking, I really like working with cycle breakers.
Yeah, yeah.
That feels really impactful, really meaningful to me.
Mhm.
Um, and I think to some extent, most of us would identify with that, even if we had a pretty good upbringing. There are things that we're doing differently in our lives that impact the people around us, and especially if we have children. It it's like time travel to me because they are healing in real time. They are healing stuff in the past, and they are changing the trajectory of the future. And it is wild to see that, and to see somebody like recognize a whole new world that they did not have access to before, or a more realistic, newer version of them that was buried under like lots of crap and coping mechanisms. That's exciting. I really like that.
Yeah. I think that that's a drive for a lot of us. It's just like the breaking of the cycle. And sometimes it's subtle. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know I've worked with clients where they'll come in and be like, they'll tell me a story through the week and they'll be like, and instead of doing what I usually do,
Right.
I did. And that's when you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's
Yeah.
clicking.
Yeah. You're doing it. You're kicking butt and taking names. Good for you.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
I love that.
hmm
Um, when I start to see things start to like generalize and have a ripple effect, where we take like one set of conflict intervention skills in couples therapy, and they start using those same skills at work or with their kids to validate and empathize, and I start to see them get excited about it, like, yeah, then I'm gonna nerd out. It's gonna be great. Like I get really pumped. So,
hmm hmm Yeah. What would our favorite question, like, right? What would your soapbox thing be?
oh, I've got so many soapboxes, and I should have been more prepared for this question because I have
Because we
lots of
ask
opinions.
it.
Yeah, I have a lot of opinions. I think one thing that really bugs me is the overgeneralization of gendered differences. Like,
Mhm.
if I never see another Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus book again in my life, it'll be too soon. I I cannot with that book. We are more similar than we are different. I'm not saying that there aren't differences, but most of the differences we notice between genders um, is really just learned behavior and cultured behavior. Uh, that I don't know why that gets all over me, but I'll have people come in and confidently say, "Well, as a woman, I need," and I'm like, "Okay, if that might be true for you, that doesn't mean that that's true for all women." Anyway, that that bugs me. Hmm.
What are the like that's an interesting one because I think that's a topic we could spend like a whole podcast on is like gender differences and how that affects like your
Mm-hmm.
marriage and your expectations and how that goes into how that affects conflict and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, you know what? That just
Yeah.
brought up something else as you said that. So why that bugs me is because how it often presents is mostly heterosexual men, heterosexual cisgender men will come into my office and say something like, well, I'm just so logical, and she's so emotional. Which, first of all, I don't like how that makes it seem like being emotional is not logical, or like she's being
Or
irrational.
bad thing.
Yeah, like I don't like that connotation at all. Well, I was being emotional. No, you are emotional because you're human. That's I don't like that.
Period. End of
Yeah,
story. There's nothing more to that.
right. But then to say like, oh, well, I'm just really logical or I'm really rational. Yes, and maybe it's over controlled emotion. Maybe you're not aware of your emotions. This is where I honestly get on my feminist soapbox in a way that I think doesn't sound like the rest of the feminist soapboxes I usually hear. I think the way that we socialize our boys, or at least traditionally have in the West for a long time, probably in other cultures, to be more attuned to activities and less to their emotions, and the way that we raise our young girls and women to be very relational in the way that they play and the way that we expect them to conduct themselves in society, I think does a huge disservice to these two people when they end up getting married. Because you've got one person who's really tuned in, who's paying attention, sometimes even hypervigilant, because, hey, if you weren't paying attention and you did something that was socially non-conforming, you were going to be weird, right? But for guys, you just go play golf, right? or football, or you go hunting, or you go do. Um, Sidebar, when I go to my girls' night group with my friends, we go over to somebody's house and we sit and we talk. And all of our husbands, we found out at one point or another, have asked, well, what are you going to do tonight? We're like, oh, we're just going to hang out. And they're like, yeah, but what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to play a game or
What are you gonna
anything?
like? Yeah. What's the
Yeah,
activity?
yeah. We're going to be there
Yeah.
for 3 hours. We're going to talk. We actually have a whiteboard that we use so we don't forget all the things that we want to talk about. And
Wait,
we
I like that.
still run out of time. Oh, I know, it's the best. We still run out
Y'all,
of things to talk about. Like I mean, we run out of time because there's so much we want to talk about. And so that idea has baffled each one of them. And each one of them, I think individually, we would all contest, are fairly evolved men. Like they're not any kind of stereotype. They're lovely and they're in touch with their emotions. And still, the idea is just like bonkers that that's what you're doing is just talking. Um, so I just think it's really unfair to men and boys that we don't teach them more about their emotions, that we aren't more accepting of them, that we aren't training them up to be more relational, and then punishing them in heterosexual relationships when they don't know how to do that.
wow. Oof. That somebody's gonna be listening to that and be like, huh, that's a gut punch.
It's just not fair. And that, I mean, I think that's putting feminism on its head because we always talk about how women are slighted, and they are by this because then they end up carrying the emotional load of the
For
family, of the
sure.
relationship, and that's not fair either. When in reality, we're all humans and we all have emotion, and maybe we express them or experience them differently, but it is a human experience. And let's, even outside of relationships, just another sidebar. How unfair is it that we have an entire group of people that don't have access to their full human experience or spectrum of emotions just because we think it somehow seems weak, which, by the way, is the synonym for feminine. So I don't, let's not even get into this.
No, 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 no. Keep going.
But yeah,
Take a breath,
I,
center yourself. 5 things.
yeah, I'm finding out like, yeah, I stumbled into this morning, having not really thought about it. That's one of my soapbox issues. It gets all over me. But
Okay,
yeah,
I think that's, I mean, I think what you just said was like, I've never thought about it that way. Like in my marriage, I've never thought about how, as a society, it's like a broken society. It's a broken system, right? As a society, we raise men, we raise boys to be these men who are supposed to be like not really feeling, that shows
yeah,
weakness, right? And then we get mad at them for it in marriage.
yeah. How unfair is that?
It's really unfair.
I mean, my husband is the sweetest. He's the youngest of five, and his mom is very sweet. His dad is very like educated and cerebral, and his sister, I think, had a big influence on raising him because she was the older sister and he was the next one, and so I think a lot of that made him just a very sweet person, but that's a lot of feminine influence. My son,
Mhm.
who grew up in his preschool with only other girl students in his class,
Oh,
I
interesting.
think, yeah, for a long time it was just girls. All of his friends were girls. He's very relational. He talked more than other boys his age at the time. But I can see how, even though that's maybe more his nature or what he's comfortable with, it's not always what's accepted. Even in what I think is a pretty great setting that he's in, it's still not the norm. And so, even when you are very sweet as a boy, it's not socially rewarded.
Hmm.
Um, and how it's just unfair. It's just unfair. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's really interesting. I was thinking about what you said about not being socially rewarded. Um, that's like, I don't know, that's bringing something up for me and I don't quite know what it is. I think
Mm,
what it is it's like I'm curious if it's a chicken or an egg thing, right? Are
mm,
the other boys not like who is not socially rewarding? The boy
mm,
that's sensitive? Is it
mm-hmm.
other boys? I mean, I'm sure it's all of the above, right? A little bit of all the columns.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, as you work with kids, when it is elementary school and middle school and even, high school and college, but there's that concentrated period of I need to fit in to belong. And so I can't be too much of an outlier. That has a lot of social cost. And so I think when something's different, kids are going to be first ones to point that out and be like, hey, that's not normal, you know?
Sorry, my dogs are like deciding to be
They want a part on the
needy.
show and they have something to say.
Has something to say. So this is Lucy, my female dog, and this is Jasper, my boy dog,
Oh, hi.
who's showing. There we go. Get your face up here. But yeah, no, I think go back to what you were saying. I was really distracted with all the
Oh,
movement.
no, good. You're good. I do think for my son in particular, it hasn't been a whole lot, but I've noticed here and there where boys are like, well, only girls have long hair, only girls paint their nails, or only girls do this.
Yeah.
Um, and so it can slowly start to wear you down, I imagine, to be like, oh, well, if I want to have friends and fit in, I've got to kind of push that down or silence that a little bit. Um, which is all something, each of us have to figure out. So he's figuring it out. But yeah, it's not readily rewarded. Whereas, and this is true in any kind of other feminist ideology, I think we reward things that we think are traditionally masculine. So it's okay for a girl to be a tomboy. It's okay for her to be fierce, but it's not really okay for boys to have a more feminine attributes or characteristics because we equate feminine attributes to weak, which I mean just tells you a lot about what we think of women as a whole. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Uh, no, this is so interesting because I do think a lot of people will have opinions about that,
oh,
about
I'm sure.
like I think a lot of people will have opinions about that in general. Um, and even down, hang on, pause. They like picked that time to wake up and start
Yeah,
fighting.
it's like kids that know that you're on the phone. They don't need your attention until right then.
Yeah, right. Like, no, wait a minute. And we were so peaceful, like laying up here.
Of course, I know exactly what that's like.
Oh, goodness. Um, but yeah, I think people are going to have opinions about that because I can think of conversations that I've had with people about just biology in general and like men's roles versus women's roles and how men are the protectors. And so, like, is it a biology thing? Is it a socialized thing?
Right,
Like a social construct? And again, it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
right.
Um, but just because you're a strong man doesn't mean you can't have feelings and know them.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've heard people talk about like, oh, well, I guess all masculinity is toxic. And it's like, oh, no, not at all. Like, I think masculinity in the healthiest way is exactly like you're talking about. It is protective, it is fierce, it seeks justice, it is lots of these wonderful things. It's just not um its overarching goal isn't compliance and power over, it's power with. I forget how Brene
Mhm.
Brown says it. It's not power over, but it's a different kind of like, I will empower those around me and I will join them. And that's how I see masculinity. And I do think that as a general rule, most of us have a mix of those traits. It's just when we demonize a whole set of them that seems wrong, you know?
That's true for like many categories. demonizing a whole set of something.
True. I think that's a good truism. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, yeah, I bet there will be comments. That's okay.
It's
That's
okay.
okay.
We can all have opinions and like hold respect for everybody's opinions and be respectful.
I will tell you, while we're talking about feminism, which was
Yeah.
not what I planned on talking about today, that it was like a coming out when I talked to my parents and told them that I thought I was feminist, which was really, really rich because that was to the father that taught me how to shoot and clean a gun, and
Hmm.
to the mother who outshot everybody basically except for the SWAT team at her police department. And I was just like, I'm sorry, do you see what you made? And you are this. You just don't like the word because you think it means misandry, which for anyone who's listening and wants to know what the difference is, misandry is the hatred of men. Womanism is the like
Empowerment.
the yeah, it's just like the favoring of women, like women are great. But
Yeah.
feminism at its core is about equality. And I could not take that my mother, who like could carry a refrigerator on her back and was very like Janie's got a gun kind of person, that she just was like, well, I'm not a feminist. I'm like, the hell you aren't. You just don't like the word.
Hang on.
Hold
Let's
up.
review the facts.
And I think I may have told this to you personally before, but the funniest thing is that my husband was the one who really enlightened me to so much of this. And people will ask him like, well, if you're a feminist, I guess your wife is too. And he's like, oh, I would never allow that. You know,
Yeah, you have told me how he says that before, which is just fantastic.
you know, it's hilarious to me. Anyway, so
Okay, so what's it like to work with you?
I hope in some of the feedback I've gotten, I
Mhm.
hope that it's a little bit more relaxed than you might expect. That's kind of the feedback I get, especially when people come in and it's their first exposure to counseling at all, or maybe they had somebody who was really, really zipped up, really buttoned up. I am professional, but I don't take a lot seriously. I mean, I take my job seriously. I do not take myself very seriously. And there's a lot that we can laugh about. And when we deal with really hard stuff, as we usually do in session, you need the levity. So I think it's a pretty humorous place to hang out, ironically. Uh, I think it's really conversational. It's really um, I find that we just get to talking and it just feels comfortable. Not that what we talk about is comfortable, but the way that we're just kind of hanging out, it just kind of feels like you're having coffee and then, oh, wait, I stumbled into this thing that I was feeling and I didn't realize it. And now I can communicate it differently. That is all by design. Like I want my clients to feel at ease because we need as much of that to get through all the crap we've got to deal with as we can get.
I I think that's like a very that's very skilled. Like that takes a lot of couples counselors a really long time to learn to be able to like intentionally make everybody feel at ease, come in, talk about these really hard things, laugh about some of it,
Yeah.
and then like express in a way that doesn't feel threatening. Because I think what happens, and I'm not the marriage counselor, but what I see happen in like parenting dynamics, duos, is there's a lot of assumption about meaning placed on
Mhm.
words.
Mhm.
Um, and it's usually built up over years of like
Yeah.
these same cycles that are happening, and we're just not sure how to break them, conversational cycles. And at one point may or may not have been true.
Right.
So, yeah, so I think that that's like a really skilled thing to be able to do.
Yeah. And I don't know how unique it is to couples counseling. I think that's just perhaps a personality thing. I make a lot of jokes, but also I think it's a confidence thing that after you've been doing this for a while, you kind of loosen up.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe your grad school experience was similar to mine, but I think we were on the tail end of that movement of keep everything very tabula rasa, be as unbiased as possible. Um, and that's true. You don't want to bring your bias in the room and you don't want to make this session about you. But if you don't show up as a human being,
Hmm.
then people cannot relax around you. And I think we ignored that as a field for a very long time. And I'm
Hmm.
seeing I'm seeing people our age in the field. I'm seeing people younger really push back on that. And I think it's for the better. I think
Yeah.
clients can tell, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Can you hear that?
No,
Okay, good. There's a lot of noise at my house today.
I can't hear any of it.
Great. Okay, that's good. Um, I know I feel because I know most therapists have their own therapists.
Hmm.
And I am in that category. I have my own therapist, and I know I feel really good when I say something, and my therapist is a mom as well, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, that happened yesterday," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, great."
Or like, how strange is it when you share something deeply disturbing to you or traumatic and somebody reacts with this kind of deadpan
Yeah,
response? Be like,
like no,
oh, that,
just no, nothing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess that like doesn't mean anything to you, or I shouldn't like, I think as the client, you start wondering like, well, am I reacting appropriately? It's very
Mhm.
validating for somebody to react to what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think I also, that brings up, this is a little bit off topic, but I really like the reels that are on Instagram right now, how of like it's like therapists and that it's like
Ooh,
when
yes.
the client is like, "Can I just read you the text?" And we're like, "Yes,
Yes,
please."
please.
Yeah, we get excited about those things. "Can I just show
Hmm.
you a picture?" Please do. But we
There's
will
only
never
been one
ask.
time when I was like, I don't want to see that, and that
Oh,
included
for sure.
nudity. They're like,
Yes.
well, I might be nude, and I'm like, no,
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 I
I
don't.
don't want
No.
that. Now,
Professional
somebody
boundary.
did show me one of their surgical pictures, and I was like fascinated, and I think they
Yeah.
were worried that it was going to be too much. I was like, no, show
I want to see that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
me. So,
yeah. I love that. Mm,
yeah, I don't know how else I might describe my sessions. I have a great time.
yeah.
I
You have a
think
good time.
at the end of it, I think most of my clients would say that they had an okay time. They might not enjoy it the way I do, but I think they enjoy the way they feel afterwards. But
Yeah.
it's hard work.
How
I
long are
know.
your sessions?
I have 90-minute sessions just to
Okay.
start, but I
Okay.
also I do double sessions. I do intensives because however you cut it up and spread it out, the more you can front load your time. Anecdotally, we know will predict how long you have success and how immediately you have success in
Hmm.
whatever way we define that, of like relief from symptoms or feeling closer in your relationship. So whether that's going every week and then tapering off, or like starting with an intensive and then meeting every 2 to 4 weeks after that and pushing that out, the more you feel better. Anecdotally, we know that that does well. Now, I will say the Gottman Institute is doing some more research on, are these marathon sessions indicated, or how much of an impact do they have by front loading all of
Yeah,
that time in the beginning. So I'm excited because they're always doing cool stuff. They're
they
always
are.
here to
I
stay.
I did a Gottman training recently just because I was like, okay, let me see what this couples thing is about. Um, and I distinctly remember them saying that the intensives in the beginning are what kind of like shows bigger improvement quicker.
Yeah, and I hate diet culture, but like that's one thing that comes to mind. Whenever we get the results we're looking for sooner, we're more likely to stick with whatever we're doing. So if I start working out and my back pain goes away, like if it goes away that day, I'm going to work out the next day.
Yeah.
But if it goes away in a week, I might be encouraged. But if I'm only going once a week and it takes a few months before I see some results, that doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that I'm not as encouraged to keep going. So that's really, I think, part of the mindset behind some of these marathon or intensive sessions is you want to feel relief fairly soon, so you keep doing the work and it keeps getting better faster. Which,
Hmm.
by the way, couples counseling in this way is a terrible business model because people eventually do feel better and they stop coming to counseling, which
You
is
know,
bittersweet because that's what you want.
but and that's what I tell clients. I'm like, when you fire me, not because I've done something wrong, right? Because you just don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
That's great. That's I've done my job.
Oh, I've already got a backup plan. We've talked about this. Like, what would you do if you weren't a therapist? And I'm like, I would plant potatoes. I would have a
Hmm.
bakery. I don't know. I paint houses, something.
Hmm.
Don't worry
Hmm.
about me. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we've got it. Don't worry. You don't need to stay like, in your conflict. We can find other means of
Yeah.
income.
Yeah. I think that's where I used to. I used to joke with clients, they'd ask like what a reasonable timeline is until they feel better, and I'd tell them, it eventually you won't need me anymore. And I say, I know I'm a delight, but you're not going to want to see me forever. And they get a
Yeah.
laugh because, the self-deprecation, my trade. But uh,
Yeah,
so,
I know. I know. But it is hard to answer that question, how long, because every couple is so different, every person is so different.
oh yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't know. We got to unpack your trauma first.
I once asked, and I don't want to quote her on this because I could be wrong, but I once asked Carrie Cole, the clinical research director, um, at the Gottman Institute, like, what is short-term therapy? And she's like, oh, 20 sessions at least. Like, oh, okay, that's good to know because I don't really have a scope or sequence. I just kind of figure we'll cut it open and see what it looks like when we get there and
Yeah,
do the best we can. And if you took however many years to get here, it's probably going to take a while to get back out. On
that's a
average,
really,
yeah,
yeah,
I was just
that's
gonna
just a
say,
really good metaphor, right? Like if it took this many years, took 10 years for y'all to get here, then like, don't expect me to solve all this in 2 months.
well, and yeah, I mean, on average, couples wait 7 years past when they should go to therapy before they actually
Mhm.
book an appointment and go. Um, and I can't imagine, like, if you broke your arm and you waited 7 years, well, to set that, we're gonna have to re-break it. It's not gonna be fun. It's gonna hurt
Yeah.
really, like, horribly in the beginning. Um, and that's just on average. I mean, people wait all sorts of lengths of time. So
Yeah. Oof, oof. That's another really good metaphor. A painful one, but like
yeah,
it's true. Which is why you use a lot of laughter in your sessions while we're re-breaking
uh-huh.
arms.
Yeah, like this is awful. Breathe through it. Ha ha ha. I think I said something like that today, like, wasn't this fun? And get that expression like, no, and it wasn't. Like, all right, have a good holiday.
See you
Bye.
next week.
But it's good work. I mean, it's what was
Yes.
it, a physical therapist? I think I heard tell me, like, choose your pain. I can either go through the pain of physical therapy or the pain of not feeling healed. Choose your pain. Only one of them has a chance of you feeling better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think about that. I do choose your hard, right? I think about
Oh
that a
yeah.
lot. Choose your hard. It's either, you know, for again, pulling the curtain back for therapy, my practice doesn't take insurance. And that's a choice, right? Choose your hard. Either don't take insurance, which is can be a little bit harder to fill caseloads, or take insurance, get paid less, have to see more, fill it faster, but it's
Yeah.
still hard. And then you have to deal with the insurance companies, which that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of hot water we could get in by just having a recording or an episode just about insurance companies, but I have opinions. I'm not saying they're all educated opinions. I feel fairly educated and totally biased. But
And fairly educated and totally biased. I
about,
love that.
yes. The other thing is, like,
That you,
I remember having couples that maybe they were doing premarital or they were highly committed, but they had all these issues. And they were like, when can we feel better? And I'm like, well, how long do you plan on being in the relationship? That's how long you have.
hmm hmm
So till you die for most of us.
that's usually the plan for most people.
Yeah. That's the other joke I always make is that the only way out of our marriage is a body bag. And people are like, oh my God. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That's like till death do us part, right?
Right, right, not the other way.
I'm not threatening my husband. We're happy. We're okay.
We like each other.
Um, yeah. If he leaves, though, I'm going with him.
Yeah, right, right.
Anyway,
Okay, so what would like, I don't know, top couple of things you could say that brings happiness to couples?
whatever it is, it's going to be small. I
Mm,
know that. It's not going to be the trip to Bora Bora. It's not going to be the grand gesture. It's going to be the little things that you do every day, the turning towards each other in the little moments of noticing, which I just want to validate for a lot of us. I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't relate to this, that there's just nothing set up in our world to allow for being present and mindful and aware. like you have to fight to be those things. We used to have natural filters even 30 or 40 years ago where we didn't have a mini computer in our pocket. We didn't have, our office didn't have access to us when we went home, you know.
Yeah.
So we have to create those filters, and there's nothing that lends itself to us being naturally present and mindful. But if we can do that, we can notice the little things. We can notice the sigh that our partner has. We can notice when they get excited about something. We can notice when they make a joke and we can turn towards it. I think it's really more that than it is anything else.
Mm.
It's not figuring out the perfect date or gift. It is just showing up and turning towards bids for
Yeah.
connection. Yeah.
Bids for connection. Yeah. And it's those little, like you said, the little moments, but like not just the little moments, but like the other person pausing and
Hmm.
giving you the full attention, not just
Yeah.
like oh yeah, okay, cool. Ah, that's funny. Right.
Yeah. I mean, and you're not going to be able to do that 100% of the time
Mm.
because we have things like, okay, you have your dogs that were just here. We both have kids. We've got bills we got to pay. The other time we were talking, there was somebody trying to put up lights in your house. Like,
Oh
there
yeah,
are
that was
things
fun.
that it requires our attention. I have a lovely father-in-law who calls and sometimes needs help with the computer. And so, like, he's important and what he needs is important. And my husband turning away from me to help him doesn't make him bad. It just
Right.
means we're juggling a lot of things. And so, when possible, you want to turn towards your partner because you're going to have to turn away at some time and you want to have built up that emotional bank account so you have something to draw from. Um,
Mm.
there's the whole thing going around on Instagram now of like, did I tell you that I saw a bird? And then like, have you seen that?
Uh-uh.
Or somebody says, I saw a bird today, and then they see how their partner responds. Because that's what happened in the love lab. Is somebody saw like, I don't know if it was a bird or sailboats, and they're like, oh wow, and their partner sitting on the couch going, huh, and just like does not respond, just turning away from a bid. And that can happen if you're dealing with a dog that's peeing on the floor or a kid that's crying because they stubbed their toe or they're hungry. Or for me, it's those things and the robot vacuum is going. The dogs are barking. One of them runs by and licks me on the ankle. The vent hood is on. Like I am overstimulated. So I want to validate and normalize that there's a lot that vies for your attention. You're not bad if you don't always turn towards, but if you continuously miss those bids, what's really sad is when your partner just stops making them. And that's what really breaks my heart is when I have couples that come in that really like each other and they have grown into what most people call like that roommate phase.
Yeah.
And it's not because they hate each other, it's just because life has worn them down and they don't have it in them to turn towards anymore. And so we have to relearn how to do that.
I think that like the stage right after you get married or like right after you start having kids, that like oof, that when you have young kids, I feel like
Oh
that
my gosh.
stage,
Yeah.
I feel like, and not that I'm blaming kids as the
No,
problem.
no,
It's
no.
just it's a hard stage, and so your emotional battery is a lot lower. Your
Yeah.
bits for attention are a lot lower. What term did you like the emotional bank or what that
Yeah.
right? Like that's probably a lot lower because there is so much more. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of times that I tell parents, I'm like, guys, this is hard. So you have to give yourself
Yeah.
grace because if it weren't this hard then
Hmm.
other things would feel easier. But it's not,
Yeah.
it is this hard. So like
It
but it's
takes
not forever.
everything from you. And that
It
doesn't make
does.
kids bad. It makes them very human with a lot of needs. We don't
Yes.
like our own neediness. So
Yes.
we're not very tolerant of other people's neediness. And even if we are, it can deplete us. And that doesn't make us bad. It just makes us human. Um, by the way, the couples I see do best through that without any intervention are the ones that have a really strong foundation of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were really good friends going into this, they could even have radio silence for essentially 3 years and come out of it, and it won't be great, but they aren't broken because they're still good friends at the core of all of it. We just have to go back and reignite that.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, and I think that's normalizing too, that there are different stages of life where maybe you're not as passionate about your partner
Oh yeah,
and you have to reignite it later or
yeah,
rekindle it or whatever.
what was it, Sternberg's triangle of love? I don't know how well this theory is held up, but it's stuck in my head of like there's three things that make a whole love, and commitment, passion, and intimacy are the three things, but they refer to intimacy like the friendship,
Mm.
closeness, and passion being that desire, that physical passion, and commitment being that choice. Well, for most couples, we go through seasons where each of those ebbs and flows. When you get married, you make that commitment,
Hmm.
and arguably your friendship and intimacy is probably pretty good. If and when you have kids, these other two are probably going to take a hit just because you are the only two, for most people, that have these resources that are now being redirected somewhere else, and you're relying on each other to make that happen. It's not like somebody at work forgot to file some paperwork. Like, this is your partner, and they're the ones responsible for switching the laundry over. And if they don't, you won't have a burp cloth, and now you're going to smell like spit up for days. Like, who knows? Um, so when one of them waxes and wanes, the idea is that they all kind of go in and out throughout the relationship. I don't know if you've ever heard of the 7-year itch,
Yeah.
but I don't know how relevant it is now, to be quite honest, because we just don't get married and have kids the way we used to when this was normed.
Right.
But when it was, you would get married, you get pregnant within a year, you'd have a baby within that next year. And so you're already 2 years in. 2 years
Yeah.
in, you have a baby. Years from that to when they turn 5, that's 7 years. And think about those first 5 years of your kid's life. Like, they can't wipe themselves, they
Yeah.
can't feed themselves. They are reliant for you to help them go to sleep. If you leave the room, they think you don't exist at some point, you know?
Hmm.
Um, if you get into that life, and especially if you keep restarting that cycle by having more kids, you can start to think, oh my gosh, this is all life is.
Yep.
And if you don't have that commitment and your physical desire is waning or your friendship is waning, then you might think, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And that's when people dip.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and then that brings up for me too, like I know after I had kids, my physical desire went way down because my body was healing from
Yeah.
pregnancy and giving birth and all. It's like, abs don't touch me. Absolutely not.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing, too.
Right? And well, and then like there's the breastfeeding and like, yeah, no, no, thank you for any of that. Um, and to your point, right? If you don't have the commitment and the friendship piece, and I know I work with a lot of perinatal moms, and the what 100% across the board, every single one of them is like, this is never ending. This is my life for the rest of my life. And I'm like, I promise it's not. I promise
Yeah.
they get older, it's gonna change, but it feels that way when you're so in the thick of it.
Yeah. When you're up multiple times a night and sleep deprived, it doesn't
Hmm.
matter what's going to happen in a few years. You're just like, I can't cough or I'm going to wake this baby up.
Uh-huh.
So I've got to hold this cough in for an hour and a half while I hold them. Like, just
Yeah.
ridiculous kind of living.
Okay, well, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at rareinsightscounseling.com, or Rare Insights on Instagram, though I don't post much because I'm a bad millennial. I'm not great at it. Um, my office is at 635 in Hillcrest. I do virtual and in person. And when you come to my office, I don't know if you can see behind me for those that watch the podcast, but it feels like we're in a birdhouse. Like, we are just up in the trees. It's the least Dallas location I could find. Pretty accessible. And the name is not because I think I have such rare insights. It's because I'm punny and my last name is Inner Rarity. So,
Rare Insights.
yep,
I
yep. I'm
love
just
it.
a punny individual. So,
I love it. I love it. Okay, good. Well, I imagine lots of people will be calling.
thank you. I'm happy to chat. Come
She's
my
my go-to
way.
whenever I have couples, because we see like we do like parenting couples is kind of what
Yeah.
we do. But like, yeah, no, so whenever we have like a couple come through that I'm just like, nope, I don't have anybody who can do this, but you're my girl.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
If today's conversation resonated with you, you will find all of Rachel's information in the show notes below. And if you're a therapist or a professional who's interested in being on the show, reach out to us at info@therapynearme.com. Thanks for being here, and we'll catch you later.